During a recent dinner with family and friends, the topic of climate change arose, obviously. In particular, seasons. Australia is in the headlines at the moment with their wet season, while California is just entering its wildfire season. We all remembered last year's videos on the BBC News of the Calder wildfire, which were horrifying in their extent and ferocity. After a few drinks, it was suggested that if the wildfires have a season that occurs every year, and it being relatively easy to ignite twigs and leaves, but much harder to light a tree trunk, shouldn't they simply clear all the loose twigs, leaves and barks from the forest floor and stop the fires happening in the first place? Seems such a simple solution, so I decided to investigate the practicality of doing just that. Hello, I'm Dave. This is World at Peace. Thank you for watching our video. Now, I seem to remember that Donald Trump, when he was president, also suggested that mismanagement of the forest by not clearing debris caused the fires, making them partially or wholly man-made. I do remember it didn't go down too well. Now, sitting here in the northwest of England, I'm not very familiar with California, so before I look at the fires and whether clearing debris could work, let's see where they are happening. California is obviously on the west coast of America. It has extensive mountains, hundreds of forests. Total land area, 163,000 square miles, making it the third largest state in America. But just how big is that? Well, let's compare it to the UK. 93,000 square miles. Wow, that's a surprise. California is almost twice the size of the entire United Kingdom. England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales combined. That was unexpected. How about a country like Germany? 137,000 square miles, or Spain, 195,000. California is simply huge. So let's look at the size of the forests. Last year's Calder fire was in the El Dorado National Forest, which is 931 square miles. By the way, this is nowhere near the biggest forest in California. Again, comparing to the UK, our largest forests are Galway in Scotland, 297 square miles, and Kielder, 232. I suspect the total area of all forests in the UK is probably similar to that of the El Dorado National Forest alone. It's simply huge. Just out of interest, Sherwood Forest, home to Robin Hood, was originally around 156 square miles, but today it's not even 1 square mile left. So the El Dorado National Forest is huge. All Californian forests are looked after by CAL FIRE, which is responsible for all the preparation, prevention and firefighting in the entire state. They have around 5,000 full-time firefighters and 3,000 seasonal ones and another 3,000 from inmates and National Guard if they're needed. 11,000 people and a handful of aircraft does not seem a lot to cover California's total forest area of 48,000 miles, which is half the size of the UK. Reports from California on September 1st, 2021 showed that 220,000 acres or 310 square miles had already burned. To put that into context, total area burned was larger than the largest living forest in the UK. So for my experiment, I will look at a hypothetical forest of 300 square miles, round figures up or down to make them easier to follow. Each square mile has 640 acres, each acre has 4,840 square yards, so our 300 square mile forest covers very nearly 1 billion square yards. So for the first thing I'll do is I'll plot out a local area of around 300 square miles on Google Maps to get an idea of the scale, and it's huge. Covers Blackpool in the northwest, southwest, Blackburn in the northeast, Bolton in the southeast, Preston in the middle, total population over 1 million people. Now it's easy to sit and plot indoors, so I think it's time to go out there and see for myself and get my hands dirty. So I head for Rivington Pike. It's the highest point around here at 1,200 feet, where I can visually see the scale. Blackpool's 25 mile away as the crow flies, and it's just barely visible right on the horizon. Southport 20 miles due south of that, while Blackburn is 15 miles due north of here. It's pretty dramatic. Now I can see the size. I head to Beacon Fell. Now, this is a very modest forest, but I can get a real idea of what I'm dealing with. Park up and head into the depths of the forest with my plastic gardening fork and a supermarket carrier bag. Identify a square yard of forest and begin work, and immediately I hit a major problem. I had a simplistic view that the forest floor would be soil and the debris would be scattered loose on top, deep, easy to collect. No. The debris is the floor. Branches, twigs, leaves, bark, flowers, seeds, it all falls to the floor throughout the year, but they don't just sit there. The bottom layer begins to decompose, just like in a compost heap. It rots down into the soil, actually becoming part of it. As fresh debris lands on top, so that rots down as well. Simply shoveling up the debris is not actually possible. Most of it is already the floor. Because the floor is made up of rotted organic matter, so the floor itself is not soil, it's peat, which is a very highly flammable fuel. And California now is in its 23rd year of drought. So unlike here where it rains a lot, the forest floor in El Dorado National Forest must be tinder dry peat to a very considerable depth. Well, I persevered, scraped what I could of the surface material, and in a couple of minutes I had a carrier bag mostly full. Now, had I had a metal rake, I probably would have got more, but then not every square yard of forest has exactly this amount of debris. There are streams, rocks, grassy clearings, roads, picnic areas. This was a good start. So back home, I weighed the debris from one single square yard of forest floor. It weighed 3 pounds 2 ounce. It also occupied 0.45 cubic feet or 0.05 cubic yards of space. Now each square yard has 3 pounds, each acre has 2 tonnes, each square mile has 1,200 tonnes, so our 300-mile forest contains over 360,000 tonnes of loose debris. Pretty heavy. In volume, each square yard has debris that occupies 0.05 cubic yards, each acre has 72 cubic yards, each square mile 46,000 cubic yards, so our 300 square mile forest has 14 million cubic yards of loose debris. This would fill Wembley Football Stadium 10 times over. So putting all this together, our hypothetical forest of 300 square miles would need over 325,000 standard shipping container loads to get rid of just the removable debris, weighing in at over 360,000 tonnes. That would need around 1,000 lorries every day, every single day of the year, involving thousands, tens of thousands of people. That ignores the fact that the trees prevent you from getting lorries anywhere near to where the debris is. And what we're removing is only the very small top layer, leaving behind a very considerable depth of tinder dry peat. I think you can all see where this one's going. But to totally reject this proposal, you only have to have a look at what nature does as soon as you clear the loose debris. It produces more, making this a never-ending task. But if you did all this, what would you then do with over 360,000 tonnes of flammable debris? The only real option is to burn it. So a large power station converted to burn organic waste would go through maybe 10,000 tonnes a day. So our 360,000 tonnes from a small forest would take over a month to burn, during which time nature would probably deposit thousands, probably tens of thousands of tonnes of fresh debris on the forest floor. And all this ignores the fact that the entire forest floor left behind would still be extremely flammable to a considerable depth due to the 23-year drought. So there is no simple answer. Even damping it down is non-starter. Remember the drought? In fact, California may well soon have no water whatsoever to fight any fires in future years. Is there an answer? Now, a cynic would point out, if we stop burning fossil fuels, which increase greenhouse gases, which increase the global temperature, which increases the frequency and severity of the weather, then California might not be in a drought at all. Weather patterns might return to their earlier or even pre-human state, meaning fires would be much less of an issue. We don't suffer anything like the same forest fires over here. It rains a lot. Well, thanks for your time. I'm sure some of my maths has probably gone wrong somewhere. Feel free to point out where, but I feel the message would still be the same. Also look out for our next video raising some deeply unsettling questions about our future on this planet. I'm Dave, and thank you for watching World at Peace.